Hey ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mark for Audio 46, and I'm really excited today because I'm going to be showing off the SRS-X1000 from Stax. So this is an electrostatic ear speaker system that includes an amp and the headphones that come along with it. Guys, before I begin the video, I just want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe, and I really appreciate your comments and your feedback, so be sure to leave a like or give me a comment down below. The headphones are the SR-X1, which take a lot of design characteristics from some of the older Stax models, and the amp is the SRM-270S. This is going to retail for $980, which is really competitive considering a lot of planar magnetic drivers or a lot of hi-fi headphones start in that price range. So when you consider pairing a DAC or an amp with headphones like that, you're looking at spending above $1,500, and this right here is an entry point to electrostatic ear speakers that still comes in less than $1,000. There's a really good video that we did explaining the differences between electrostatic, dynamic, and planar magnetic drivers, so I'm not going to explain that here, but I will link it right above here if you want to take a look at that. Although I'm not going to explain the differences between them, I just did want to mention some of the drawbacks of electrostatic ear speakers and why I think that Stax did a great job in designing these specifically. A, you're going to be getting less bass, especially sub bass, from a lot of electrostatic ear speakers. And I think that they did a really good job in tuning these frequencies, but I'll talk about that later. And also just the price. Electrostatic ear speakers usually require very specific materials to be made, and the components of them are very thin and delicate. So it's really hard to produce them, and that obviously comes with a price. So before I address why I like these so much, I just wanted to talk about the sound stage of the headphones. I paired these up with the EF500 from Hi-Fi Man, and that was the DAC that I was using to plug directly into my computer. You don't have to use a DAC if you have gear that has RCA outs, but if you are using your laptop or your computer to play music, then you're gonna have to use a DAC with these. I found that a lot of the limitations that I would get from the soundstage would have come from the DAC because this amp and headphone combo sound really, really good together. Sounds didn't necessarily sound like they had too much supplemental reverb added to them. I got some great dynamic range from these headphones, and things that were really intimate and close when they were being recorded still kept that intimate quality, whereas sounds that sounded further away and more spread out also had that character. So I was really happy about that. It didn't really sound like there was too much reverb added to make things sound further than they were. With that in mind, I also got some really good tallness in the sounds. Songs specifically mixed with Dolby Atmos had a nice stage-like presence to them, and I heard a great verticality in the sound from these headphones.
What's in the box?
Just wanted to show off what was in the box. So as you can see, these are packaged separately. First, I'm opening up the headphones. As you can see right out of the box, they're definitely flexible, they're bendable. And you're getting that same electrostatic high-end Stax cable along with these that I've used on some higher-end Stax headphones. So it's really nice that they added that to this budget option. Next, I'm opening up the amp. As you can see, there's a power supply to power the unit. There's some RCA cables right there for you, and the unit itself. Moving on to the design features, this thing is really small. It's kind of surprising for how powerful it is, but this only measures in 5 inches across here. So it's gonna fit really comfortably on a desk. It's gonna be able to be stacked with your other gear if you'd like. And because of the design, it's really not too noticeable. I mean, there's black everywhere. You're not really gonna notice this on your desk. Moving on to the headphones themselves, these are super light. Typically, electrostatic headphones are lighter than their dynamic and planar comparisons because of the way that they're actually constructed, but this takes it a step further. It's only 235 grams. If you can notice, they're really bendy, and there's a lot of these thin metal components which look nice, but I'm not too sure about how durable they'd be and how they'd stand up over time. With that in mind, you're typically not going to be using these as a portable device because of the amp that's necessary to power them. So this is more of a home listening device. Because you're going to have to use these at a desk, I don't anticipate you damaging these, but it is something to keep in mind. Moving on to my listening impressions, I was really happy to say that there is enough bass in these headphones. Now, it's not going to be poking out or really bass heavy just by virtue of the fact that they are electrostatic headphones, but the way that they tune these frequencies really puts bass in the right areas. What I mean to say is that this has a brighter leaning V shape in its frequency response, and I'm getting enough sub bass and high bass out of the low frequencies to really get a nice feel for the music. At the same time, that bass is coming in with crystal clarity because of the very, very low distortion that these headphones produce. I was listening to 100 Demons' self-titled album, and the layering of bass and low-pitched guitars with the singer's low voice really clears up on these headphones. And it's very nice because songs with a lot of bass or songs that are mixed really warm still have that definition that you might be looking for. At the same time, I'm not really lacking bass from those mixes. So it was really nice to listen to a pair of electrostatics that did have that bass character and that palpable sub bass. Moving on to the mids, I didn't think that these were the focus of the frequency response, but there's a really nice character that's added in there. There is a slow, gradual taper on the low end of the mids. So low mids into the mids, and then past 600 or 700 hertz, they start climbing back up throughout the frequency response. Jazz music that has horns and piano playing in a certain range tends to overlap. So I really enjoyed the clarity that I got from all these voices. And when you're listening to a track where 3 or 4 horns are playing the same head and they're overlapping and kind of crunching with the piano player, what I got out of these was very little phase cancellation from the headphones themselves, and I really got a nice picture of all the voices, especially in tracks like jazz. I'm sure the same thing would happen in classical music, where there's an orchestra filled with people and a lot of their sound is getting drowned out by each other. There's a really clear separation in voices, especially in this range, and I think that's because of the bump that happens later on in the frequency response, at least in the mids. Now, in the treble range, this is where they're really going to shine, because although it's a V shape to me, they are definitely going to lean brighter than they do darker. So out of this range, I tried listening to the new Brat by Charlie XCX to see if I can get some of those high frequencies and that shiny, polished mix to make these feel sibilant. And I was happy to say that I didn't really get any sibilance at all from these. Although they're bright, the way that they're tuned is very dynamic and nice. So I wasn't able to get a huge poke out of anything that sounded too bright or things that were high-pitched hurting my ears at all. I was actually really surprised by how nice and calm a bright pair of headphones could sound. Because these headphones extend so much further into the treble range, I didn't notice many spikes in the frequency response or huge surgical dips as well. It's very balanced up there, and although it is louder than the other elements, I didn't get too much sibilance. It was nicely balanced. So guys, as I mentioned before, the two main weak points that most electrostatic headphones have are the low end and the price range. I think that Stax has done a really good job of tuning the low end, so you're not really missing out on much. That being said, if you are a dedicated bass head and all of your headphones in your collection lean warmer than they do bright, unless you're specifically looking for a pair that doesn't match the rest of your headphones, I would still stay away from these. That being said, you do get the bass that you're looking for, and it's definitely not lacking in this frequency response, it just is leaning brighter. In addressing the price, you're getting an amp and very good quality headphones for under $1,000. So if you were worried about spending a bunch of money on electrostatic headphones and that's what's been keeping you out of the game, this is a great option altogether. You're gonna be spending less than the cost of HD800s, LCD-X, Hi-Fi Man Audio Organic, and you're gonna be getting an amp that drives these headphones. So if later on down the line you do choose to upgrade and you purchase the system, you're going to be able to upgrade your headphones or your amp so that you can get into a more hi-fi kind of sound. At $1,000, these are definitely in the hi-fi territory, maybe the mid-fi territory, but to me, I got some really good clarity, very low distortion, and some really, really good sound quality out of these. So I think that you're getting a really good value for what these cost. Obviously, spending $1,000 on headphones isn't going to be a small amount for most people. It is for some, but it's not for the most of us. So with that in mind, if you do like brighter headphones and you're trying to pair things up to have ultra low distortion and really, really good quality, you can achieve that with this for only $980. I am going to reiterate, the only thing that I wasn't sold on with the headphones were just how light they were. And I'm not talking about the drivers themselves. I'm more so talking about the material on here and on here. It's just a little flimsy to me, and I didn't really like that. I think that they could have done a better job with durability. With that being said, given the price point of the headphones and the cost of manufacturing something like this, I do understand where they could want to cut costs, especially considering this isn't a portable device. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are looking to get into the electrostatic world and you're a fan of Stax headphones, definitely check these out because they're going to be able to give you that clarity, the brightness, the really nice highs, ultra low distortion that you might be looking for, and it comes in under $1,000. Again, I'm Mark for Audio 46, and this is the SRS-X1000 from Stax.